Happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect One-Word Conversations. One-Word Conversations is a self-discovery, relationship-building conversation designed to invite you to look at your language. Many times we can come up with all the wonderful words that we can think of and still find ourselves in a place of disconnection. So I propose that you have a one-word conversation where you can learn a little bit about yourself, the person that you're speaking with, and possibly, just possibly, build on your relationship. One Word Conversation is brought to you by IamWilliamBrown.com, a place to help you be yourself and live your life. One way that I spotlight what's available at the I Am William Brown store is our U cards. Our U cards are a part of the Beyond the Shell series, and Beyond the Shell series is 2 children's books, a journal, and the cards. The cards are intention setting cards, a game, and also a journal prompt. The cards that I picked to set the intention for this conversation is I am brave, you are full of joy, and I think you should just do it. So this is the time where I invite you to like, share, ask questions, do all those things to let me know that you are also a part of this conversation. This is another one of those shows, the mystery word shows, where the guest has said that they will want to be surprised. So I am going to surprise the guest today. So as I do, I'll invite my guest in so we can have a conversation. Happy today. How are you?
Hey, William. I'm good. Thank you for the opportunity to be on your show. How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. This is the opportunity and the time that I invite my guests to introduce themselves however they feel comfortable.
All right. Thank you, William. So, hello, everyone. My name is Juanna Council Brown. I am in the financial industry and I try to motivate a lot of people. So, my goals are all, and my passion is to, like William, I like to have a conversation with lots of people and I like to keep you motivated and inspired. I got a lot of projects going. I mean, that'll be later on in the conversation. But if anybody want to reach out, I am all over social media, Facebook, Instagram at Juanna.council. I do have a YouTube channel, J Council 1996, and I put a lot of tips and financial education on those pages. And so if anybody ever want to reach out, you can always hit me up on all my social media.
Wonderful. Well, welcome to the conversation. So are you up for the surprise, the mystery word? Right?
Yeah, no, that's the fun part, So, hey, I'm ready.
You're ready. It's kind of funny because there are some people that, when I say, we're going to have a one-word conversation, they're like, what? And now this element of a surprise, it just takes it to a whole nother level.
Right.
So here is the word that I'm going to introduce and invite you to unpack with me. So the word is irrational. So how does the word irrational land for you?
Wow. Okay. So irrational to me is like a lot. Okay. I mean, everybody don't hold nothing against me when I'm about to say.
It's just
Irrational
you.
is basically what the government is doing.
Right.
They
Okay.
made a lot of irrational decisions. A lot of people got hurt. And now people are still without certain funds that they were supposed to receive. So some of those decisions to me was irrational.
Right. I totally get it. Look, that's when I pick this word, words they don't just come with definitions, right? They come with stories and emotions and everything. And so for me, how irrational lands for me is it just don't make no sense, right? It's just right. It's just like, and like, it's like you know better. But there's one thing that, about our brain, right? That like fear, it's like real or imagine, fear is real. real,
Right.
right? And irrational, it's like a rational or irrational. It's like the same thing. It's like it's imagine or not. It's
Mhm.
just it's just there, and it's like sometimes people. It feels like people feel like, and I'll put myself in those people category, is that I feel like I'm being rational until it just gets away from me, and now it just and it's
Right. That happened to the best.
and it just like it's like, well, that kind of got away from me, right? And it's like, why do you think I guess rational and irrational are so close, or can we can get there really really quickly for ourselves?
You know what? I kind of agree with you because we as a humankind, we always like stay focused, and then all of
Right,
a sudden we just drift off into space. I
right,
mean, we could be having the best topics, and it could be so rational, it could help everyone, and then
right,
all of a sudden we daydream. And it's like, wait a minute, where did that come from? That was so
right,
irrational.
right,
So I kind of like those two words because it can bring an educational to everything. Even in the financial world, what I educate on
right,
people, when you come to priorities, what's rational is your priorities, like your utilities, you know, taking care of the maintenance of your car, things like that. But when it
right,
start becoming irrational is some of the things that you might say because you're the lack of education on it, or
right,
you go buy Jordans for $200 when you could have saved
right,
150. So
right,
in our everyday, I mean, it's just human nature. I mean, we have that I want it now.
right,
You know what I'm saying? We don't, our patience had went out the window a long time ago from what I noticed from some of the
right,
conversations I had with others.
right.
But I just want people to actually still, I mean, it could be fun to be irrational. It depends if you're a comedian. But
Just for a
when
little
it
bit, right?
right, just a little bit. I mean, come on, you gotta have a sense of humor. But the thing
Right,
about it, I just want everyone to really understand because I dig so hard within the community. I just want y'all to, because we could be better, all of us can.
right,
And I want
right.
us to keep our priorities rational.
Right. I totally get that. And there is one thing, I don't know why the mind and how the mind works is that I can rationalize anything, right? Like, I
Right.
mean, it's like, so
Right.
it's like, and it's mainly something that I want to do. It's like, so I haven't been at the place where I would rationalize spending $200 on some Jordans. I just don't got that. Right. It can't make no sense, and you can't convince me that it makes sense. And it's just kind of, but I ain't mad at you, right? Right? But,
I
type
just
of thing.
educate you. That's all I do.
Right. and but there are so many areas of my life where I can just convince myself that this is a rational decision, right? And
Right.
then months later it's like, what the heck was like,
Give it up
um
to entertainment. They make it all seem rational, right?
right. It's like really, I understand that we can only, this is how I operate.
Right.
We only take action on what we believe, right? So there's
Right.
something there's a belief that's causing us to, like, I'm sitting in this chair because I believe that this chair will hold me, right? Right? I
Right.
mean, it's that's it. Other than that,
Right.
I would be standing, right?
Exactly.
um but there have been times where I would just, there was this irrational thought that yeah, this is not going to work. This is, I can just see, it's like,
Right.
sometimes for me, I'm an introvert, and I'm a look, I like people, but I give them their distance, right?
Right. You
Because
gotta give people
right,
their space. I can
right.
understand.
But it's, you don't need to tell me to give you 6 feet,
Right.
because
I'm already giving to you. Awesome.
it's so, but it's just sometimes it really feels like when I have this irrational judgment about someone just because I don't know if it's a feeling or it's a look or anything.
Right.
Or, the last time I trusted, people, it was like, yeah, it had nothing to do with you, right?
Right.
But we good, stay over there, right? Um,
Exactly.
so I mean, is that so being rational, is that good judgment? Or is irrational not having good I'm trying to understand how the two really work in tandem for each other to kind of, I guess, benefit
Right.
instead of just, like I said, instead of just crazy, right?
Well, yeah, I think, well, I kind of go with you. Everybody's individual is different. So one person
Right,
might think being 6 feet is rational because they don't want to get sick. Some people might be like, well, why would you can't be 3 feet? That's a little irrational. Well,
right,
why would they do that?
right,
So it's and you even said it's the mind, it
right,
comes with the mindset. But like even me, I mean, personally, I've made irrational decisions. This is why I can educate. I tell
right,
everybody we all have our own story, and your story can actually motivate yourself and other people.
right,
But somebody might say your story is just so irrational. Remember, we're all different. So somebody might
right,
think that doesn't help someone.
right,
Somebody else might say your story actually educated me to help me. So
right,
again, it's not about if it's wrong or right. It's actually based on the person, personal, how they feel or
right,
how they thinking. I mean, you can't really, and well, we're not supposed to judge. I mean, people
right,
do it anyway. But
right,
the
right,
thing, I mean, that's just the human nature. It's just
right,
the inclination of what we do.
right,
So basically, I wouldn't even say it's a bad or good thing or right or wrong. It's just based on how the person is. If they think 6 feet is rational, then yes. If another person think 3 feet is irrational, then they're gonna have to deal with
right.
whatever else got going on.
Right. It's I within my coaching, I say to people that, hey, this is a judgment free zone. And what
Right,
I mean and how I frame it is I say, look, judgments um are free to come, but they're also free to go.
right.
Right. And so there's like because like you said, we're always judging. We're judging machines, right? I mean, right?
Yeah, it's just the way
And
we are.
and so, but am I going to allow my judgment, rational or irrational, judgment get in the way of relating to people, talking to people, and doing things? It is, you brought up before about I guess we brought up before about the pandemic that we're going through, and the some of the precautionary things that we're asked to do, and some of the things that were done to kind of have, I don't know, have eliminated or something. And it's like, um I'm like, I'm gonna admit, one of my guilty pleasures that I haven't done in a while. But it's like watching Judge Judy, right? And it's like, and she, and she would say, if it don't make sense, it's a lie. That's it. I mean, it's like,
I watched her. I love her.
right. And it's so it's like going with that Judge Judy mentality. There's a
Right.
lot of people lying to us, right? Because this
Come
don't
on
make
now. It don't
sense.
make sense. You know what? I was watching the news with the IRS, and okay, so they supposed to be fixing the issues with the stimulus for a lot of people.
Right.
Well, this morning I was watching the NBC, and they would say they kind of forgot the veterans, and the news reporter said, "How do you forget the people that fought for the country? When
Right.
they so do you see?" A lot of people look at that as so irrational. How do you
Right.
forget the people that actually put their life in danger for millions of people, but
Right.
you get people money that probably don't even need it. Even last year, the very first businesses that I heard, Disney World and Hollywood. These
Right.
are billion-dollar companies. Why would they get the money first? I would think your hospitals, your essential workers, and your veterans, and then
Right.
you can kind of trickle down the line. But why would you give those? Why? Because they're bringing money to the country. Again, there's enough to me. Personally, that was an irrational decision. But again,
Right.
I'm not part of the government. That's just an
Right.
opinion.
Right. Yeah, it's there. There are so many times for me, and I feel like when there is something that doesn't make sense for me, that it's not rational.
Right.
If sometimes it feels like we are conditioned to like keep it to ourselves, right?
Right.
It's like,
Right.
you know, and it reminds me of one of my favorite lines in a movie, and it'll speak to a little bit about myself. It's the movie is As Good as It Gets.
Okay, I seen that
And
one.
there's a scene where um, you know, some like I think a housekeeper or someone from comes over and talks to like the lead character
Okay.
about basically looking after the neighbor after after he gets hurt and everything.
Oh.
And his response was, sell crazy somewhere else. We're all fooled up here. And I was like, I
That
I
was
when I heard that, that was like, that's my life. That's what I want to. It's like
sounds
keep
crazy
your
somewhere.
because people are doing a lot of things that are irrational. I got enough irrational that I got to deal with. Keep yours,
Right.
keep yours over there,
Right.
and do that. And it's like there's this, like I said, there's this sense that anytime we figure out that government, people, work, is doing
Right.
something crazy, just keep to it. We'll figure it out. We have good intentions, right?
Right.
And it's just it just goes from there. There's a part of me, one of my core values is independence. And many times that works out for me, but sometimes it doesn't work for me, because then there's a part of me that just will say, if someone says, hey, this is a great idea, let's kind of do this. And it's like, yeah, I'm not going to do it just because, right? It may
Right.
be great for me, but because I didn't come up with it, I ain't even going to think about it. Right. And so
Right.
so that's when I kind of lose access to that, because I am so committed to being independent and having this, independent thought and all that. And there's a lot of things happening in our society that is like bumping up against, that independence value. And it's like, it's not at the expense of other people, but if I am not going to do something that I currently believe that is against me,
Right.
right? And it's like, and some people's like, well, that's irrational, you gotta, we got a pandemic and we all got to do, the same thing. And then it's like, look, this don't make no sense. And so I just can't. It's like, it's principle now,
Right.
right? And it's like, are we okay? I guess, asking for a friend. Are we okay with being irrational to someone, right? Or saying that, you know what, this is rational for me, but everybody else thinks this is irrational, but I'm still going to do it.
Right.
Is how do we kind of stay in relationship with people that believes that we are currently acting irrational?
Well, I would think, if they're a good friend, y'all will
Right.
have that conversation. But
Right.
you got to remember, everyone's opinion is going to be their own.
Right.
I spoke to a mindset coach a while back, and I was like, we had a good conversation. One thing that stuck with me, she said,
Mhm.
someone else's opinion is not your business. And I was
Right.
like, wow.
Mhm.
So whatever they thinking, that's not our business. So if
Right.
we feel like it's rational to do, then we should do it. Now, later on down the line, we might be like, you know what, that friend was right. It was kind of irrational.
Right.
But again, we can't predict the future, so we won't know that unless there's a
Right.
hurdle or obstacle we hit. So, I for some reason, ever since that just stuck with me, and whatever
Right.
people say now, it keeps me motivated to keep going, because
Right.
even though they have their opinions, I'm still thinking that if I want to keep educating and reach out to more people, I'm going to keep doing it, because I also notice a lot of other people that might have been motivational speakers or done different podcasts. People might have thought they was irrational, but look where
Right.
they are now. They didn't
Right.
care about what those people thought. They kept going and kept pushing.
Right. It's kind of so this is my independence coming out again. It's like sometimes it's everything that you said. I agree. I got it. I get it. But sometimes that way of thinking causes people to keep doing stupid shit. Right. You
Right.
know,
Exactly.
right? It's like, hey, you may think this is irrational, and it's like, dude, come on now, right? It's like, and it's we hear things like, those that know better do better, and
Right.
people act like they don't know. Yeah,
Right.
I
One
mean, don't.
example, I was thinking bungee
Right.
jumping. You ever seen the videos on
Uh,
Facebook where they attach the rope against their leg and they jump?
right.
To me, that's irrational. But to them, they think it's fun. So what
Right.
right do I have to say, you could die or you could hurt yourself if you jump? But they're
Right.
saying I've done it so many times. I mean, I'm
Right.
just saying. So that situation, I mean, I'd be like, wow, I'm scared of heights, so I'm not doing it.
Right.
But some people literally say that is very fun. To
Right.
me, that is irrational. That is a perfect example of my opinion that someone else thinks is fun. And just like you said, they're going to keep doing it because they think
Right.
it's fun.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's me in roller coasters, right? It's like, look, this is the reason that I set myself up for my relationship with roller coasters. So
Okay.
because and yes, there was a young lady involved. So it was like, it was I was in high school. We took a school day at the amusement park, and so my girlfriend at the time. I don't know if it was my girlfriend or just someone that I wanted to be my girlfriend, and I was still in that we deciding phase.
Oh,
And
right.
she wanted to go on it's a roller coaster, famous roller coaster in Pittsburgh called the Thunderbolt.
Okay.
And she was like, "Yeah, I want to go on that. I just love it and everything like that." Yeah, I'd never been on it, and I didn't want anything to do with it. So
Right.
she was like, "Have you ever been on it?" And I was like, "Yes." Right, So
Oh,
because in my mind, even as 16-year-old kid, 16, 17 years old, I was like, how bad can it really be? There's like,
right.
there is, well, while I was trying to get my manhood together when we're sitting there, it like takes off. And this thing goes from like this to a drop the first right out of the gate. And
Man.
so, yeah, so I don't know where my manhood went, but it was no longer on the ride.
Oh my
so,
goodness.
so the gig was up that I was never on this ride before.
Right. Oh, I got a
so,
similar story, but
so
yep.
my relationship, so it was very irrational for me to get on roller coasters anymore.
Right. Now I've been to Busch Gardens when I was in high school, and my class we went to Busch, and it was a roller coaster called the Loch Ness Monster.
Got
I
it.
don't like a lot of heights and speed like that, but the class, some of them taught me into it, so I got on with them. Tell me, when I opened my eyes, I thought my heart just fell out everywhere. I thought it was on the ground.
Right.
I said I might have lost it. From then on, I was 16.
Right.
And I'm scared of heights. But I closed
Right.
my eyes, and just so happened, a reaction. I opened, I was like, okay, I'm gone. I think
Right.
I'm gone. Am I still here? I had to pinch myself, man. Like, am I still living? I thought my heart was gone. So I totally understand. And the thing about it, it went this way and it dropped so fast. I was like, it's over. I never got, but everybody else like, let's go again. I said, no, I'm not, no, it was over. It was over. That was irrational.
Right.
That was totally irrational.
Right.
But tell a teenager that though, right?
Right. Yeah. It's like, yeah. So it's like now to this day, I think I've been on like 3 or 4 roller coasters in my life. And it was like, my eyes are closed most of the time. Right. And it's like, dude, why are you on? It's like, I don't know. You're just here. And it's just, but it is really those things. What I'm getting for myself is rational and irrational, it's really about our relationship to ourselves, to things, to other people, right? Will determine if something is rational or irrational.
Right.
It just there is that element of making people feel, I don't know, say okay or or comfortable or something. I don't know. It's kind of funny because I was just reminded of the quote card that I pulled, and the I think you should just do it. And it's like, yeah, that's not rational. That's irrational right there. It's like,
That's Nike all the way, man.
you
Just
know,
do it.
right? You know, it is just really, but there is so much a part of our lives to make irrational decisions so we can grow, so we can learn, so we can, you know,
Yep.
and it's like there's a part of me that really wants to have this button up rational life, and it kind of limits me,
Right.
right? And so I guess there is this, you know, I'm just reminded of a number of years ago, and I think they still have it. It's like the Darwin awards,
Okay.
that, you know, people doing stupid shit and almost killing themselves, right? You know, that's, you know, that's,
Right.
and I think, um, rational and irrational, you want to do both, but you want to do a balance so you can stay alive, right? Right? You know
Right.
what I mean? You
Yes.
know, right?
Yes.
You know,
Oh my
and
goodness.
you have to figure out what's that balance is for you,
Right.
and that's why we have to decide what is rational for us and do that. And it may be
Right.
irrational to somebody else, and it's like, okay, is this maybe this feels irrational, but I'm going to do it because I want to grow. But
Right.
even in that irrational thing that I'm being asked to do, this is what I call a download, something that I'm just getting. I haven't thought about it much, but it's coming out of my mouth. So good luck in understanding it. So,
Right.
um, but even if we feel that it is not rational and that we need to do it so we can grow, that's our choice.
Right.
That is something, and we can, there's a rationale to doing something irrational.
Right. Right.
It's like what?
Now, you know what you just said? You basically said what everybody do. You try to make it rational. Like you literally gonna paint a picture of it being this is totally right. It's so rational. But then hours later, it's like, you know what, that really wasn't so rational.
It's like, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
Don't
don't do
do
it.
that.
Not,
Nothing that I said. Don't.
right.
You know,
Don't try it at home, folks.
so it's like if they stop watching this anytime sooner, they're in trouble, right?
Right. I'm gonna go try what he said. Oh no, don't try it at home, people.
It's like watch to the end, right?
Right, watch to the end. Let's see what happens, right? Oh my goodness, that was I like that one. That was awesome. I like that the way you put it though. That was awesome.
Oh boy, that's hilarious. But that is life. I mean,
Right,
our life is, you know, there is Joseph Campbell. I think that's what it is. There's a quote that if you can see the path in front of you, it's not your path.
right,
Your path is the one that you are willing to take. That you are willing to make step by step. That
right,
is your path, and to do it. And it's like sometimes there are many moments where I am carving out my path, and it's like this don't make sense, right? You know,
right.
you know, this ain't rational, right? You know, right? You know, it's like,
Exactly.
but I just need to take another step, and that's, you know, my coaching is, you know, I'm a self-awareness coach,
Right,
and you know, within my coaching, I call it step zero. It's the step we take before we take the first step,
right.
and
Awesome.
that's awareness. And there
Right,
are so many things that I believe that we become aware of that gives us access to making a decision, a choice.
Right.
Too often, I think in some cases, I believe that we're conditioned not to think, not to be aware, just do. That's how when we started with all these
Right.
irrational things that is happening in front
Right.
of us, because it's like, oh, this is a problem, do this. Whoa, let's think about this for a moment.
Right.
What is
Yeah.
that going
Let's
to
get a plan A
like,
and B here. Like,
right?
yeah.
But it is something, and like I said, I'm not going to say um, anything's right or wrong or anything, good or bad. It is it's like I said, it comes right down to the the Judge Judy. You know,
Right.
if if it don't make sense, it's a lie, right?
Right.
It's like,
Exactly.
and it's just like, all right, so let's try to make some sense, to this.
Right.
Let's kind of help me. And when we ask questions of the government or
Right.
people, business partners or in relationships, and they don't got no answers and they want us to move, it's like
Right.
nah.
I need a plan or something. What's going
Right.
on? Right.
Yeah. I had some boys when I was growing up that would say, that would start the conversation on, trust me on this, and it's like, uh-oh.
Uh, I see a lot of shows that do that. Trust me on this. This is going to work.
Right?
What?
It's like, nah, so I think there's going to be an area where I'm not going to need to trust you, right? So,
Right. And then they'll say, "Have I ever led you stray before?" I'm thinking like, "Oh, I think you have."
yeah, it's like, yeah, give me a couple minutes to kind of really think about
Right.
that, and it's like sometimes when people say, to be honest, right? It's like, all right, we've been talking for like an hour now. Now you're going to be honest about, right? It's like,
Oh, so you just decide to throw that in now, huh?
right.
Okay.
It's like, so everything else should I be questioning or anything like that? And I think it's that you want to, I believe we want to be rational. I want to believe that people are not up to shady, right? I want to I want to believe that that people want things to work out, well
Right.
for everybody, not just for them. But sometimes I think that's a very irrational way of looking at the
Yeah, I go with that opinion. And just like you said, you're a self-awareness coach. I'm a financial coach, but I stick to a lot of motivation mindset. And I
right,
always tell people, people it takes it took a long time for you to make a lot of irrational decisions to get your finance where they are.
right,
Now, after years, you think your finance is supposed to be right within a couple seconds.
right,
That's not how the process. No process works like that. You
right,
didn't destroy your finances in 24 hours. You
right,
destroyed it over time. So
right,
that way of thinking is irrational, and it goes everywhere. Even when you try to tell someone about being self-aware, if they think that they've been self-aware 20 years ago, but look at all the irrational decisions that really were
right,
you. So I
right,
always try to tell somebody that, do you think that things are hard, or is it really the mindset or what's projected?
right.
So do
Wow.
you see how your mind and the way you think can be irrational
Right,
versus how it should be rational? We all should be rational when it comes to a lot of things, when it comes to us, our lives, community, families, and things like that. But
right,
just because of entertainment, celebrities, and glamorous things like these cars and these Jordans and these clothes, they think that's rational. But
right,
paying your light bill late is irrational.
right,
You see how they got
right,
it all
right,
backwards?
right. Yeah. Oh boy, it is. Because I think I've said this, on the show this week, because this is coming up again, that I don't want this silver bullet, right? It's like, I
Right.
know nothing's going to happen overnight and all that, but at the same time, I'm acting as if it's going to happen in 24 hours. it's going to happen overnight.
Right.
And
Right.
then I'm mad that I still
It
don't get
didn't
money
happen.
in my account, right? I'm still got it's like, dude, didn't we just start this, right? I mean, we start
There you
this like
go.
yesterday, right?
Right.
But there's the irrational thought that now that I made this, even with self-awareness,
Right.
self-awareness isn't the answer. It's a key. It's an access point. It's a way to make different choices.
Right.
And I think too often people think that I'm just going to get aware, and my life is going to be, that's why, people say, I'm woke. Yeah, no, you're not. Right.
Right.
You
Exactly.
you may be woke on this area, but you're not woke here. So if you're not
Right.
woke here, you're not woke. You're not all
Exactly. You're
woke.
not
Right.
fully
You're
woke.
right.
Right.
You're right. And so it's like it's that type of thing. And so there is this, like I said before, where we try to rationale everything, and and I'll speak for myself, and you saw it in real time how I rationalize being irrational, right? Right. It's
Right.
like, because it makes sense, right? Because
It
we all
makes
need a
sense.
little, right? Right?
It's like eating
because
candy
be,
versus an apple.
right, because I made it make sense, right? And so it'll keep me in my foolishness as long as I need to, right?
Right.
Right.
I like when you said the 24-hour mark. So I help people understand credit repair and things as far as how things work.
Right.
And then people think, then this is the question I get: how long does it take to get your credit fixed? And my question is, how long did it take for you to destroy it? And they'll
Right.
say, well, it took me a long time. You just answered your own
Right.
question.
Right.
So the rational part is nothing's going to happen last night. It's
Right.
going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. And that's another thing. Since you're self-aware, I know people be like, I don't have no patience.
Right.
I literally figured out my kids wiped my patience out a long time ago. So when it comes to
Right.
anything else, I have no patience for. I got to keep going. I try to pray and still ask for patience, because
Right.
some people, I'm like, wait a minute, my kids, my youngest is 18 in the 12th grade. I
Right.
got a little more patience with her. So now I need more patience for you, and you're grown. Oh
Right.
my goodness, come on.
Right. I got to get sell that somewhere else. We all fold up, right?
Right. Exactly. Oh my goodness. I gotta go to the grocery store, go buy me some more patience.
Right. It's that opportunity to decide that, okay, patience is needed here. Am I going to give it? No. Right. And that's the choice. But
Right.
sometimes we're so not aware of how we're showing up and when we're not extending and extending the grace, or our patience. But sometimes
Right.
it's like it's after the fact. And I blame it on GI Joe, because GI Joe would say,
I seen
you
that
know
movie. It was pretty
it's
good.
it's like, knowing is half the battle. No, it ain't. Knowing is the beginning of the battle. Because if I know that this is a battle, I might leave. I don't want to fight. No, we good.
Me neither. Right.
This
You
ain't
can
it ain't
have it.
half. Right, right. So it's that once we get a knowing, it's
Right.
then we can now decide. Now is
Right.
the beginning, and then it ain't gonna happen overnight. It's not. It's right. It's that, and it's like, so. I appreciate. It's like within in business, and I know we're coming up on, um, wrapping up show soon. But there, when in business and finances, they say things like, numbers don't lie. But the numbers, sometimes they tell a story that
Right.
they're trying to help you understand what they're telling you, what the
Right.
choices that you're making, all that. And if we don't have rational conversations with
Right.
financial professionals, we can pay off all our debt and not really understand the story,
Right.
and do the same stupid shit all over again,
There go
right?
the irrational part.
Right. And then it's like, what happened was, no,
No.
it's like, right,
Right.
it is that. And look, I'm speaking for myself. I mean, there has been times where I've been in debt, out of debt, in debt, out of debt, and it was like, okay, there's a common denominator here, and it's like
Yeah.
me, right?
Yes.
Right?
Hey, I've been there. Hey, I tell
Right,
my story. I've been there. And you know what? You said choice. Do you know even not making a choice, you just made a choice? That
absolutely,
that's what people fail to realize. I'm not going to do it. You just made a choice. And
right,
even if you tell me you're not making a choice, you just made one.
right,
That's rational. You
right,
didn't, but guess what people do? Like you said, they try to make it like, oh, it was a rational decision. I didn't
right,
do it.
right. And it's like, yeah, because I had a coach tell me the same thing similar to that is actions and inactions produce results,
There you
right?
go.
And it's like, so there are those times where it's like, I didn't do it. What's the result? Is I got nothing, right? Well, that's the
There you go.
result,
That's
right?
the result, right?
Right. There. So if you don't want nothing, you'll start doing things, you know.
You're sitting there just like we are. We're
Right.
just sitting.
Right. So yeah, it is, like I said, rational and irrational. That's a nice little game our mind likes to play with
Ain't it?
ourselves, and just kind of go
Awesome.
from there.
Yep.
This has been a great conversation.
I liked it.
Is there anything that's coming up for you that you want to leave everybody with?
Well, I have a few podcasts, as I say, coming up. I'm a co-author writing a book called The Joy Journey. It's with some other co-authors. It's going to be inspirational because I try to motivate everyone to stay positive and also think about certain situations if it's a mindset thing or is it like William just said, you just made a choice because you didn't want to do it, no results.
Right.
So just a little few things I got going on right there. And then, I still help people out with their finances, try to educate them on that. So if anybody ever have questions, like I said in the beginning of the show, always hit me up on my social media, Facebook, Instagram. You can always email me, wannab48@gmail.com. Send me all your questions. I don't mind.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. This has been a great conversation. It's been a rational conversation, right? And probably
It was awesome.
and a little bit of irrational
Irrational.
within, right?
Hey, you got to have sense of humor some type of way, right?
Right. Well, great. I would love to say goodbye to you in the green room, but
Okay.
this was great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh boy, irrational. Is there? I think the invitation is to look, to have the inquiry in your life to see if there's something that you're doing or not doing that's irrational, and see where you're making rational irrational, or where, I don't know. Just kind of look to take the inquiry. It's because our mind will try to make sense of something, and we will make sense of something that makes no sense. And because of that, we will find ourselves in a place where we do not want to be. So, um, yeah, I'm this. It's like, okay, that is my life, right? Right. Oh, I hope this conversation was of value to you, not just to your day, but to your life. I invite you to reach out to me at iamwilliambrown.com for a complimentary coaching session to help you be yourself and live your life. Because the world wants you, the world needs you, but the world isn't waiting for you. So go be you. Have a great rest of the day and have a wonderful Easter if you celebrate that. And I'll see you next week on One Word Conversations.